Apple products, love them or hate them, they have a use case, especially now with Apple Silicon. However, that hasn't always been the case. Back in the Intel days, Macs were known for being extremely hot and quite expensive compared to their PC counterparts.
Oh my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on, boy. You get your goddamn.
Now, this is my M1 MacBook Air. It is the only laptop I own, and it is my daily driving laptop. The reason why I don't need anything more powerful is anything more powerful I do on my PC. This is a great general device, lightweight laptop. Like, it's perfect for my use cases. However, I found something a little interesting when searching the Facebook Marketplace. Let's hurry and get into that. This is a 21.5-inch 2010 i3 iMac. Now that doesn't sound like a whole lot, and today it's not. However, you can see me in the reflection. Hi. This one's interesting. I got it on Facebook Marketplace, fingerprints and all, for $25. Now, one thing you may be noticing right off the bat is, hey, this isn't macOS, and you're correct. It came with Linux Mint. And the reason for that being is actually quite genius from the previous owner. The previous owner installed Linux Mint on this because, quite frankly, trying to get modern macOS to run on these, while possible, isn't a great experience, especially if you don't have an upgraded GPU like this one doesn't. And another thing is, if you're trying to run the last officially supported macOS, which is High Sierra, there's no support. Barely anything works. So the most logical choice and the easiest to do was install Linux. So the previous owner did the best possible choice. Now, the thing about this display is it is 1920 by 1080, pretty bog standard at this screen size. In terms of responsiveness, it is running a mechanical hard drive, in fact, the one that it's shipped with. And I would open this up and replace it with an SSD, except for I don't have the tools for that. I still need to get an iFixit kit. So for now, this is what we get. And what we are going to be doing is a standard web browse test, just to see how usable it is today. So we're using Firefox, obviously. It's the best browser for Linux. And I guess the first step would just be to check out some YouTube. Now, it takes a second to load the page, and that's mostly because I'm not in a spot with ideal Wi-Fi. So what we're going to do is we're just going to load up a YouTube video. And right off the bat, we are going to mute it so I don't get any copyright strikes. And the video settings we're going to do is 720p to start, which works perfectly fine. It's perfectly smooth, perfectly usable, a bit pixelated, but next we can try doing 1080p, which, again, is perfectly usable. Responsiveness is fine. It's perfectly usable. It's not going to be the most responsive thing in the world, but in general, it's fine for YouTube if you want to watch YouTube. Let's just do some basic web browsing. Let's see how fast the current iMac is. And in terms of Google response, it loads pretty quick. Of course, their stupid AI thing is very quick to respond. And Google sucks and doesn't give you the option to disable it, obviously. That's why I use DuckDuckGo. But in general, searching the web in 2025 on a 2010 iMac is perfectly serviceable. So if all you're really doing is using the web browser, which is what 90% of people do anyway with their computer, it's perfect. If your grandparents or your parents bought this in 2010 and you loaded Linux on it for them, they would probably be able to use this just fine. Let's install an app. Let's install GIMP. And keep in mind, it is a mechanical hard drive, but in terms of performance, once it's warmed up, it's perfectly usable for things like this. And while that's downloading, I did download a few things to try out. I don't have a whole lot of faith in some of these source games just because it is i3 integrated graphics. So even though these games are old, I don't have 100% faith that they're going to be good. And see, that wasn't too long. And GIMP loads up perfectly fine. We'll go to create a new canvas. Oh, that's tricking out the autofocus. There we go. And drawing is fine. So for light digital art, I have no doubt that this would be fine, which is great. Closes nice and fast. This is running a Mac OS icon pack for certain things, so you'll see like whenever we open an application, the minimize and everything is Mac OS like. But that was the previous owner who did that. One thing I will say that's cool is this computer did come with the original wired Apple keyboard, which feels the exact same as their modern keyboards. So great job, Apple, for innovation. Let's launch some Minecraft. I am using Prism Launcher here because it was the easiest way to load up Optifine. And you'll see why we need Optifine in a little bit. In fact, we're not even going to run the latest Minecraft, just because honestly, I'm not a fan of the latest Minecraft, and quite frankly, if you're playing this game on a 2010 iMac, you're probably not going to be able to run it. So we will just launch Minecraft 1.8.8, which is my favorite version of the game. Should be loading. There we go. Now, I do have Forge installed, not for any high-end mods, it's just so I could get Optifine working on here. Since this was before Optifine had like the native installer, I believe. But we'll load into a world that we already have generated. And just like that, we are in. Now in terms of gameplay, it's not the highest performing thing in the world, but you will be surprised at the frame rates we're getting. In general, we are getting over 100 FPS on a 2010 iMac running Intel i3 integrated graphics. Now do keep in mind this is with some more simplified graphics enabled, a short render distance, and Optifine, obviously. But it is perfectly playable. Like, I could play Minecraft 1.8 like this. Now, the display is only 60 Hz, so you're not going to get the full smoothness of the over 100 FPS. But that doesn't really matter too much. As you can see, it's never dropping below 100. It's pretty much just locked at 100 or more. Now, obviously, as you build stuff and make the environment a little bit more complicated, it will start tanking. But in general, a very usable Minecraft experience. And the next game to play is, I'm gonna butcher the name, but Sauerbraten. If you guys don't know what this game is, it is a free-to-play Quake-style FPS game built on the Cube 2 engine. Now, Cube 2 is a pretty obscure engine. it never really saw too much in the way of like mainstream development, but it is a very entertaining, free game to pass the time. Keep in mind, I am playing this through a viewfinder, and the round just ended. But this is perfectly playable. It's a very playable experience. In fact, I could probably just get lost playing this for a while. Shit. So what we are going to first play is some Half-Life. And there we are. And as suspected, it is running buttery smooth. So if you want to play Half-Life on a 2010 iMac, running an i3, integrated graphics, 8 gigs of RAM, you totally can. Alright, now that we've seen that Half-Life 1 is completely playable, I tried getting Half-Life 2 to work. The mouse is still missing, and Half-Life 2 wants to cache shaders, and I'm not going to wait an hour for that. But yeah, in terms of usability, this iMac from 2010 running Linux Mint is totally fine. It's usable, day-to-day web browsing, you're not going to have any problems. Very, very light gaming, old Minecraft, Sauerbraten, Half-Life 1, I assume Quake and games like that, they're all going to run perfectly fine. You'll start to run into some issues with games that require more heavily on like Vulkan and other more 3D graphic APIs, but in general, this is a perfectly usable experience. So yeah, with that, my final thoughts are, if you have $25 and you need a computer, you cannot go wrong with a used iMac, as long as it is, from 2010 or newer. I wouldn't put much faith in anything older than that. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this shorter, more, I guess, in-depth look at a piece of hardware. I'm still trying to find my groove here. But yeah, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, dislike it if you dislike it. And I don't know, comment spaghetti if you made it to the end. Peace.